call myself a Christian nationalist, and that's not a bad word. That's actually a good thing, right?
It seems like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene can barely pull off that line with a straight face. And to be sure, the crowd seems kind of confused, like, I know that's what we want, but are we allowed to say it out loud? There's two things that are going on here. One is the very real aim within the GOP to make the U.S. into a theocratic state controlled by their preferred religion, but also the way that grifters like Taylor Greene are taking advantage of those goals to gain attention, money, and fame. There's a growing movement among evangelical Christians to take control of the reins of government and implement the laws of the church as the laws of the nation. This ranges from the prohibition of abortion to the elimination of gay rights and many other aims. But more than that, it's an attempt to place their whole range of political ideology, including tax cuts for the rich and the destruction of the environment, onto a divine pedestal beyond reproach, which literally takes the shape of, if God didn't want the earth to burn, he wouldn't have put so much oil in the ground. It means that criticizing their choice of policy is criticizing God, making you a heretic. Which might be fine for some, but this really isn't about you, unfortunately. It's about circling the wagons around some pretty indefensible ideas that have no basis in fact or reality. But because successful seeming shouty person says it's okay, then it must be. But this isn't just MTG's personal belief. She's advocating that this is what the whole Republican Party stands for.
Now, if the Republican Party becomes a party that actually does the things we say we're about, then we are going to be a party for nationalism. Isn't that right? But then I think there's another element we need to have, and I'm a Christian. How many Christians do we have here? So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist, and that's not a bad word. That's actually a good thing, right? And there's nothing wrong with leading with your faith, because we should lead with our faith. Because if we're doing that, then we're doing the right thing. It doesn't mean we're perfect, it just means we're doing the right thing. And I think that's what the Republican Party needs to be about.
Republicans have been pushing this line for a long time, and when they're not wrapping themselves in the flag, wrapping themselves in the Bible worked pretty well for Reagan and the Bushes and many Democrats as well. But historically, Christian values have been a personal thing that just happened to coincide with the policies they set forth. Although interestingly, absent from these policies seem to be much in the way of feeding the hungry, taking care of the poor, or loving thy neighbor, but I digress. MTG has taken this a step further and once again said the quiet part out loud because she doesn't care if it's not strategic. She knows that this is what the base wants, and she doesn't care about achieving policy aims. She's only interested in generating controversy and enriching herself. She's doing this by claiming that she's doing God's will and fulfilling the dream of America's founders. Christian nationalism is about making one group in America superior to all others and casting opposition as evil. If only if the framers had seen this coming. Oh wait, but they did. It's literally the first words of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. The founders of America fled from religious persecution and imagined a nation where folks would be free to practice religion or not. Being a Christian in America? No problem. Want to be a nationalist? That's pretty dumb, but you and your buddy's lack of critical reasoning is also protected by the rest of the First Amendment. But you say you want to be a Christian nationalist? That literally could not be more un-American.